A few months ago, this absolute legend invited me to join in on an exciting project, and I gladly accepted. Even though I'm currently working on my own prototype for a tactics game that I'm making, I thought this could be a fun side project and a nice break away from the stress of making this game. So, fuck it, let's do it. 50 game developers remake Mario Party. The premise is simple. Each game developer gets assigned one of 50 minigames in the original Mario Party. Then we all make our minigames, however we want, in whatever engine we want to make it in, and then we make a video about the project. Simple. So if this is your first time hearing about this and you have time, this video should be linked to a playlist, and feel free to go in there and check out some of the other videos on this project. There's some really good stuff in there, so check it out. But make sure you're watching like my video before you do that. And I bet you're wondering which of these 50 creative and challenging minigames I picked. Well, I went onto the games wiki, found a list of minigames, scrolled right down to the single player games and found the easiest one I could find, because I got no time for this shit. Ground Pound is a single player minigame in which you have to slam 5 posts into the ground within a set amount of time while avoiding spiky ones. You have a few seconds to memorise the positions of the posts before a bunch of poorly positioned butterflies land, hiding the tops from your vision. And if you hit one of the pointy posts, you will be stunned for a few seconds. There are 12 posts in total, 5 flat ones and 7 pointy ones, and that's really all there is to it. Another reason I wanted to pick an easy minigame was because this was my first foray into the big scary world of 3D. I've never really modelled anything before, so this was the most significant focus for this project. For quite a few months now, my main man Ted has kind of been the mascot for the channel, so I want to try and turn our little pixel buddy into a 3D masterpiece. First I had to figure out how to do 3D. So the first thing I did was download Blender, not because it's the best, but because honestly I have no idea what's good or bad. I've just heard its name a lot, so I just went for it. The first time I opened up Blender, it was overwhelming. I was like, what do now? So I rushed over to YouTube to look up some basic tutorials, and this guy called Blender Guru pops up.
G'day!
So I figured this was an excellent place to start with this really in-depth series on making this really delicious looking donut. It's about 6 or 7 hours long, and this was honestly great. He moves nice and slow, really explaining everything at a good pace, and I genuinely think he'll teach you everything you need to know all the basics. I highly recommend it. But me being me, and the big brained hard man that I am, I decided to stop at part 7 because I knew everything I needed to know.
I am God.
I went on to my next tutorial, all big-dicked and full of confidence, thinking this is easy, I got this in the bag. I had my eyes on this bad boy by The Observatory, where he takes us through modelling Mario from scratch in about 2 hours of video, which is perfect since we're making a Mario Party game. But do you think 2 hours is pretty quick for a tutorial for something like this? Well, you'd be damn right, because this man moves at the speed of lightning. Here's a side-by-side comparison of me trying to get through the first 30 seconds of part 1.
To go into front view. In the second window, hit numpad 3 to go into right view. Select the cube and tab into edit mode. Add a subdivision modifier. Position this cube to become Mario's head. Apply the subdivision modifier. Select and delete half of this cube. Add a mirror modifier and another subdivision modifier. Now we're just gonna shimmy and move stuff around to make the shape roughly match the dimensions of Mario's head in the reference.
This isn't an attack on him, by the way. This is more making fun of myself and thinking I can do 1 hour of a tutorial and then move on to this complicated thing. This guy, he has like 4,000 subscribers, but it's clear he puts like a ton of effort into these tutorials. So if you think you're up for the challenge, you should check it out and check him out, because he has a bunch of other stuff. He has like a Link tutorial and some other cool stuff. But yeah, this was not at my level at all. So I did what every fledgling modeler does when things get hard. I switched to low poly. Just in case someone doesn't know, a low poly count equals the total number of polygons or faces on a 3D model. The more detailed and smooth, the more polygons on the model. In a lot of ways, low poly is the pixel art of 3D modeling. Like in pixel art, where you need to translate objects with a limited number of pixels. And low poly 3D, you need to limit the number of polygons. It's not better or worse than higher poly games. At the end of the day, they're just different art styles with their own unique charms. Bring in Infenzia. He posts these great 10-minute low poly challenges where he models all these different things in 10 minutes. But what I came for was this 3-part low poly character tutorial. This was straight fucking fire. I followed each video step by step and boom, Ted was alive. Obviously, I forgot to press record when modeling Ted, because of course I fucking did, but I did manage to record the creation of the animations. I cannot recommend this tutorial enough for anyone interested in low poly stuff, and his 10-minute challenges are pretty cool too, so you should definitely check out this dude if you're interested in learning 3D modeling. However, there is one problem with the tutorial that I never figured out. That fucking hat. Whenever I imported my model and his lovely helmet into Unity, something would go very wrong. My hat wouldn't be animated or wouldn't be in line with the character. I eventually figured out it was a problem with the export settings, but I wanted to point this out because it's going to come up again before the end of this video. Let's talk about making the actual game. Step number 1 was setting up a basic scene and trying to get Ted animated and moving around. There's nothing too special going on here. I basically used Bracky's tutorial on third person movement to get everything set up using Unity's character controller. And just like that, Ted was hopping around, no problem. Then I made a tree with some basic shapes for the level and just rotated it in different ways. For the ground, I created a plane and coloured it brown. All of this was going to be temporary and I would model my own low poly tree in Blender later on. Spoilers, I didn't. Honestly, Blender is hard. And I don't think it's a type of program you can just hop in and out of whenever you want. I would need to be using it every day to stop myself from forgetting all those different shortcuts, and there's a lot of shortcuts. So eventually, I just got burned out on it and I didn't want to model anymore. But now that Ted was moving around and animating correctly, it was time to work on the gameplay. So I moved on to the logs. I opened up Blender and modelled a basic cylinder with a spike on one end, added that into Unity, and then I found a wood texture on Google and compressed it down to its lowest size. This gave it a nice retro look. Then I stuck 2 trigger colliders on each end, and when Ted jumps and collides with one of the triggers, it would act accordingly to its side. Then I created 12 of those bad boys, spread them evenly around the map, and wrote a script to flip them to a minimum of 5 flat sides. Next up was the butterflies. This is probably the only creative difference I really took from the original game. In the original, the butterflies kind of landed weirdly. Like sometimes you could see the spike underneath it. I don't know if that was intentional or I don't know. But I thought it didn't make much sense to me, so I thought let's make sure the butterflies cover the spike head completely, or the head of the log completely. This was actually quite tricky to do and definitely took the longest amount of time of all of the game's development. First things first is I tried to model a butterfly in Blender. It didn't go well, so I ended up backing out of that. I just made a temporary model in Unity with some basic shapes that I was going to change later, but I didn't, so this is what we're dealing with. Then I wrote a script to make it randomly fly around until it's time to land on its spike. I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to explain how the butterfly positioning works, because the challenge is that we need the butterflies to land on its log, but every log has its own direction towards the camera, right? It's its own unique angle. They're all positioned differently, right? So let me just break it down slowly here in our good friend Sprite here, okay? So when a log is spawned at the start of the game, or I guess when we start the game and we count the logs that are there, we spawn butterflies. 1 butterfly for each log. Then the butterfly is just flying around randomly. It's having a good old time for about 3 seconds. While that's happening, we are going to try and figure out where this butterfly is supposed to land and at the angle it's supposed to land at. So each log has a butterfly location, some here, let's say, and we would then take our camera and we draw a raycast from it to that point. Then, with that, we can figure out the perpendicular angle that we want the butterfly to land in. So it lands at this location at this angle perpendicular to the camera, and it will always block the log from the camera, no matter the position of the log and no matter the distance from the log. It should always work, and it works pretty well. And this is what that looks like. Beautiful. And at that stage, the game is pretty much done. All that's left is to add a win-lose condition. So a countdown from 30 seconds. If you hit 0, you lose, obviously. And if you lock down all of the flat spikes, you win. While testing, I also changed it from, instead of having 5 flat, I changed it to having 7 flat. So just to add it a little bit more difficult because the game was too easy. Next, I had a little bit of time left to polish. So I made the text animate nicely, added some nice scene transition. I added a main menu to explain the game. And that is about it. The only thing I didn't do was add sound. So how about I just pretend I added sound using my beautiful voice. Here's the final product. Check it out. Start. Oh. 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 You win! Woo, 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 yeah, woo, woo, woo. Wait. Wait a minute. What is that? What the hell is that? The hat is out of line again. Oh my god. This has been the bane of this entire project. So, everything was working fine. Let me explain. Everything was working absolutely fine. And then I added in this stupid jumping celebration animation. And suddenly everything was broken again. I exported the exact same way as I did before. But now it's just broken. And I don't know how to fix it. So it's that's why it's still like this in game. If anyone, it's definitely not right. If anybody knows what I'm doing wrong, or like what way you should be exporting with like assets attached to your model, let me know in the comments, please, because I was lost with this and I just don't have time to be debugging and figuring it out, and I just don't care anymore. So yeah, cheers. Hello friends, welcome to the outro, and thank you for watching for so long. This is probably the longest video I've made. I tried to get through it as fast as I could, but you know, there was a lot I wanted to cover. So hopefully I did a good job and it wasn't too rushed. Let me know in the comments how you found it. I'm kind of expecting a lot of you guys might be new to this video if the playlist of the project works. So if you don't know, I'm Aaron and I'm making a tactics game at the minute. So I've been going step through step trying to figure out how to create a tactics game and going through my experience through that. So if that sounds good to you, please do subscribe. If this video was nice, like the video. And yeah, and one more thing before I wrap up. I know a lot of you guys are doing devlogs as well. There's a lot of you guys doing your own YouTube channels. And I found this this Streamlabs beta that called Mercury. And if you're looking down now, I am saying thank you to everyone who's signed up to the channel for the last since the last video. And I am super grateful to you all. The channel has grown by exactly 36 subscribers since the last video. And yeah, I am so grateful and so thankful that the numbers are still going up even when I'm not posting that much. Summer's over, so hopefully I should be able to get back into a nice routine. I'm not no more holidays or drinking sessions planned. Well, there's a few planned, but don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I'm just really grateful the numbers are going up. But anyway, yeah, Mercury is giving me this cool little outlet for free. And also, if you go down and you look into the description of my video, you'll see my channel goal that's updating live and a thank you to the latest subscriber. And that's something that Mercury is doing for me at all times. I'll put the link to that in the description below. It's free, completely free. I don't know how they're making money, honestly, or if they are making money from this. Yeah, use it while you can. I'm guessing it's not going to be free forever, but it's cool. I'm using it now, and I've added the video. I've added the description to everything, and I just think it's cool. I think it's cool. So that might help you out with your videos as well, if that's something you're interested in. But yeah, that's all I have to say. If anyone knows how to fix that hat problem, let me know, please. Please, it drove me insane, and I'm out of steam, and I don't want to look it up anymore, and I don't actually care anymore. If you want to play the game, it might be somewhere. If it might be uploaded somewhere, I don't actually know. I think we're gonna upload all of the Mario Party games somewhere. I don't know. Maybe. Okay. That's it. I'm rattling on. I will talk to you again very soon. Hopefully a new tactics game video will be coming out maybe next week or the week after. I am working on it right now, so and it's going pretty well. I'm actually quite happy with the progress I'm making lately. So yeah, cool. See you guys. Thanks.